The South Node in the 11th house in the birth chart indicates somebody who came in with a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge and a lot of familiarity with the group work, and with what is going on inside the dynamics of that group. All of the compromising, all of the social causes to take up, all of those kind of things involved with that group can be so overwhelmingly constraining because it holds you in and it makes you very, very, hold your self-expression back. It holds you back because you can't be your creative self. You can't express your creative joy, your creative talents, your creative abilities. And that's what the North Node in the 5th house is about. Now, I'm doing this video because I have this placement in my chart. And it is in Taurus, so that indicates that I'm following my values, what gives me a sense of self-worth, and I'm being very, very stable and grounded in my creative self-expression. And I'm not doing something that the group would like or that others would like to gain a sense of self-worth and external validation from them, but I'm validating myself. So it's essentially, what it is. I'm going to delve into the qualities of this placement as I go through this video. This might be a long one, so tune in, stick around, get comfortable if you want to hear my take on this. I don't know if I'll do all of the North Nodes through all the different houses. I did all the North Nodes to the different signs, but I will do this one. And then I'll see about it. I'm not doing anything in any particular order. I'm doing it, when I want to, what I want to, as opposed, rather than as opposed to the general astrology videos on Saturdays. And if I don't get to all of them today or this week, then it'll be a way later that I'll do that. That'll get to all those placements. But I don't want to make a commitment for myself. Oh, I have to start this series and then that series and that series. Because that's catering to you. It's giving you what you want and not what I want. So I am doing a series on Saturn through the signs. I'm doing a series on Saturn through the signs. On Saturdays, that's what I'm sticking to. I am not going to overcommit. I'm not going to burden myself with, okay, I did this placement, so I have to do all the other ones. So exhausting and so burdensome. I can't even begin. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do what makes North Node in the 5th house, what makes me happy, what I want to do and how I want to do it. And it is my channel, and it is my videos, and so I can do whatever I please on my channel. With this kind of thing, no matter what it is, unless it's ethically wrong to do, which this isn't, so... Anyway, basically what doesn't feel right. So anyway, I'm not going to even go there because I don't want to give you a complicated astringent of what I'm trying to tell you. So let's delve in to the South Node in the 11th house, or the South Node in the 5th house. Now, I do have a podcast. I was actually listening to it last night. South Node in Aquarius, North Node in Leo. And I wasn't feeling the greatest when I did that podcast. I do have to say, my stomach was hurting. I was feeling very kind of, upset in my stomach. Just not the most well in my stomach, but I had to do that video because I didn't want to wait a whole week, to do. I was almost done with the noodle series, and I was filming 2 videos the next day, and I was leaving, with how I poorly planned it out, I guess. Just how it happened. I was leaving for, Mayo, 2 days later, so I had to really, buckle down and get that video filmed and recorded. So there's a lot of good information in there, and I think it's very, very, very well done in my humble opinion, but not my best, and so I want to reframe this as more personal to me. So a lot of the themes of that video, the Aquarius, South Node, and Leo North Node, overlap in this one. Okay. Now, this is where I'm going to take my time and go really, really deep into all of these points. The very, very first point, the main theme with this placement is creative self-expression. That's what the fifth house is. Creative self-expression. What you authentically want to do, what you genuinely want to do, what makes you feel good inside of yourself. That is you expressing your authentic creativity. What feels authentic to who you are, to who you are. And actually, I'm doing this on a Tuesday. I'll be meeting somebody again, I presume, who told me just do what is authentic to who you are and just being his creative self, authentic self, on social media like I am, and so he will not be able to tell me that I need to take things down because, you should take down the things where you swore and the child does not tell the parent to stop parenting or to stop doing what the parent wants to do creatively. It's just not how that works. And so he is doing what he wants to do for his creative self-expression, and I'm not a fan of it, but I don't have to, succumb to being told that I have to take things down, when I was just expressing my authentic self. Well, no, I'm not going to do that. And I'm not going to do it for anyone, really. So, anyway, this particular North Node in the fifth house is about this exactly. Your creative self-expression. What brings you joy? What brings you life force energy? What brings you, fun? What gives you a sense of play and fun about life? What brings you that sense of just, I'm on, I'm in it, I'm, living out my truest life. This is about making something authentic to who you are. Putting your creative stamp on it. Making something, making sure that it is authentic. It's real. You're not putting on airs. I'm telling you, I would be the worst actor. I would hate being an actor. Because the very act of acting is performative. You're pretending to be somebody that you're not. And I could act out certain things as I'm expressing certain points. But I would fail as an actor. I would hate the job. I would hate the work. No, I do not want to be an actor. An actor is not very creative. You're basically told how to act, told how to express it. It's like you can't have the own autonomy to do what you want to do, with expressing what you want to express. So, I want to find the sort of bridge between acting and authenticity one of these days. Like, I want to combine the two together and really, really put those two together into something coherent that can be very, it can make sense for the masses. It can be omniscient. It can be, apparent for everyone and anyone really. So, making something, authentically and proudly your own, being proud of your creative efforts. Being proud of your creative efforts. And it is about the bravery. I'm basically summing it up right here at the very, very beginning, before I even get into all the deep stuff, before I get into the, all the stuff I'm basically telling you. I'm giving you the end of the video at the beginning. I'm basically giving you the North Node coming to before the end of it. So, it shows you the bravery. The bravery, to be seen as an individual. That's what it's really all about. So, okay. Now, you're being brave. You're being courageously who you are and who you want to be. That's really what it comes down to. The North Node of the 5th house is really asking you to create for yourself. What would you do if you were truly creating for yourself as opposed to the group? Creating for who you are, creating for who you want to be. Doing something for you because you genuinely want to do it. It feels genuinely right for you, genuinely authentic to who you are. And I think this is so huge why I'm doing this on the day that I'm meeting somebody who does the same thing on social media, has a podcast. I've spoken about him on 2 of their videos. So it's just, I think that the two things coming together is very, very, huge for this. So it is about creating for yourself, doing what makes you happy, doing what makes you feel alive, and doing what makes you feel prosperous, happy, and abundant. My North Node in Taurus in the 5th house asks the question, what is true prosperity for you? What is true prosperity for you? What makes you feel so happy and so abundant? Like when you get money, you feel so prosperous, like, feeling very, very wealthy. Like it's a spiritual sense of wealth, a spiritual sense of knowing your value, knowing your worth, feeling an immense sense of abundance inside of you. And so knowing what true prosperity is for you, for a Taurus North Node, 5th house North Node, is huge and incredibly significant and cannot be underestimated and overlooked. So it's about going after what makes you fulfilled and happy rather than just what everybody else wants you to do. What everybody else expects you to do. Just pleasing the group, pleasing the collective. Pleasing, just others in the community, and these people may hold you back from being your creative, authentic self, shining your creative, authentic light. Like this North Node is saying, do not let them hold you back. Be who you want to be. Shine your creative light and be your true self. Guess what? It is okay, and more than okay, if not everybody around you approves of the risks that you want to take with your creativity, because if you are to be your authentic self, then you're going to disappoint some people, and that's just going to be the reality, because this world is a big world, and not everybody will agree and like what you're doing. It is learning to be okay with disappointing people, to be your authentic self. What's most important is those creative risks that you take, whatever they are. I want to be a painter, I want to be a writer, I want to be an astrologer, I want to do astrology videos like I'm doing now, like I'm expressing my creative risks and putting myself out there to you so that you can see this and view this video, and I'm being my creative self. So, what's most important is that those risks that you take make you happy. You need to ask yourself, what makes you happy? What makes you happy? What truly makes you happy? If you could be unapologetically you, I talked about that on the Sun Sextile Lilith video, being unapologetically in your authentic power. If you could take a creative risk, or do something that expresses your own creative note and your own creative voice, what would that be? What would that be to really express that? Now, you come in with already knowing teamwork, group work. You're associated with causes, in your life. Being associated with all of these causes in a group setting. In a group, community setting, or whatever. that are larger than you, fighting for peace, the animals getting saved, climate change, more, LGBTQ community, people to heal those shadows, OCD treatment. I'm basically brainstorming TED Talk videos and what they stand for. Science, a group of scientists coming together and working together to form a hypothesis and investigate it and perform experiments. All those causes, okay? Those can be causes that are larger than your own. Or excuse me, that are larger than you, bigger than you, if that's possible. And it's about, it was about, I don't want to say it is, because this is past lifetimes, this is early life. This need to feel accepted and included in a community. This need to feel just like you have to fit in. Like I must fit in, I must blend in with the group. I can't stand out, I can't be my own true self. It's about, feeling accepted. Because that's what you needed. And if you were to just stand out and do a creative thing and, just express yourself and stand out of the crowd, then others would reject you and push you away, and, it's like, wow. And my South Node in Scorpio is like, I allowed others in groups to take away from my own sense of self-worth, and they overpowered me. And I was so concerned with their business that I had to use my scorpionic powers to manipulate and to tune into their psychology to sort of get them to get what I wanted. Like, wow. I seriously did that in past lives. Well, guess what? I'm going to write a new story in this life. And, I need the past lives to show me where I've come from, to show me what I want to move into. Like, I am not doing my South Node Scorpio anymore. I'm not doing that. I mean, I may come on a video and express, what somebody said and my own personal thoughts about it. And give my own personal take about it, not comments in the comments section, but I'll allow myself to do that. But I don't think that's too South Node Scorpio, but, but really, let's hope that I do not end up in power dynamics, power games, and have to really go through a lot of transformation, a lot of, heavy, difficult stuff 5 years from now, I want to say, when the North Node is in Scorpio again, because, stay away from my channel, because I'll be, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not living out that narrative anymore. I'm writing a new story for myself. I'm doing what feels right to me. And that is my North Node in Taurus in the 5th, not my Scorpio South Node in the 11th. So, feeling, needing to be accepted and included. That's basically what I just covered. So, this is about the need to feel at home in your community. The need to, the need to feel, at home in a community. And guess what? I was talking to my family member who actually has Scorpio North Node in the 3rd house, and I have Taurus North Node in the 5th. Really different. And as soon as she said the words, other people's values, I just laughed, and I just was like, well, that's where you're meant to head, not where I am, because I just, like, you've really hit something. Like, I have that awareness about myself through the lens of astrology. And no, that's a lesson that you're learning. And, I want to know a Taurus North Node, and I want to be very, very close with the Taurus North Node, or 5th House North Node. Where we can bond and we can have the same sort of lessons about life, and it would be an honor for me to really know closely a Taurus North Node in my life, because I feel so passionate about it. And well, the whole thing about shared values, not your own personal values. Like, I am learning with my Taurus North Node, define your personal values for yourself. What are your core values? What do you truly value in your life? My YouTube channel, my astrology videos, my books, cooking, my family, my mom, the home that I live in. Like, all these are values that I have. And a lot of those are very, very Gemini values, because I have Venus in Gemini, and Venus is the ruler of Taurus. So this whole thing about, shared values, is just, it has to be, released and, let go of here. So releasing, well, you don't have to necessarily let go of it. Don't want to, impose upon you. But let's just say you're very, very familiar with shared values. And so, oh my goodness, this is why I reacted so strongly on my Real Me podcast to something that I heard from somebody that I follow. I agree with her on a lot of things. Most things I really, really respect her for, and I'm really with her on a lot of things. But when she talks about we before me, and said for my sun sign, Aries, that they are so connected with their sense of self that they, that they forget that, there's others out there, and then you're focusing on the collective as opposed to yourself. And I was like, no. Aries serves the collective by doing what it wants to do, and doing what you want to do authentically contributes to the all, not giving up who you are, but doing what you want to do naturally and authentically, and then it serves the all. Okay? So that's what I want to clarify. So you're very, very familiar with the concept of we before me. Okay, the group comes first, others come first, you come second. The soul learns with this to become hidden, to hide your individuality, to hide your creative self, to hide your creative voice, hidden within the confines of that group, where you're fitting in as opposed to standing out, as opposed to being, your true self. And, where you are doing things. And when you're doing these things, you seek the group's validation. You need the group to, the group's permission, like, is it okay? Well, well, yes. And them validating, where they basically confirmed that a certain feeling that you have, just asking them if it's acceptable or not. Going to the group to make sure that what you want to do from your heart is acceptable. So needing the group's acceptance and permission and approval. And guess what? Guess how detrimental this is. The group's validation and giving you permission defined your sense of self-worth. your sense of feeling good about yourself, your sense of giving yourself validation, feeling sure, confident, and strong within yourself. You allow them to define your self-worth. I am so against that. So against that. And I've never not been against that. So, it's basically, with this, it comes down to, where you're volunteering for aspects that the group begins, that the group starts. You're the one championing the causes. Oh, let's start this thing for world hunger, or for trees to be saved, or for houses to have proper heating in them. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Could be any number of possibilities. I can't think of them all right now. But where you put the group needs before your personal projects, before your creative projects. If you had a creative project that you wanted to do, it came second. It was seen as selfish, foolish, all these kind of things, which I'm going to get into later. But these group needs came before what you wanted to do from your heart, what you want to do personally. And you put your group needs ahead of personal projects. So interesting. Excuse me, writing, copy, whatever. Putting the group needs before your personal projects, that's the point that I was trying to express there. So I did not express that clearly, so now I got it out. So, you became, there's this guilt that comes in with this placement of the guilt of being independent. Being truly independent, to put your creative voice out there, to share your true note to the world, to make your own contribution to the world. So, that's what this life is about. Contributing to the group and the community by being your creative, authentic self. Okay? Like, that is how you combine the best of both worlds, of the South and then the North. So, of those different notes. So, this independent creative work that is really, really strong, with this, because somebody else may need your help sometime. Somebody else may very, very well need your help, in a way. And somebody in your community may need your support. You may need your help to support you with something selfless, something Aquarian, something for the good of all. And it was not right and not safe to do creative work and what authentically brings you joy and heartfelt enthusiasm and joy and satisfaction, because somebody else in your community may need your help. And if you're doing your creative thing, if you're just painting and singing or doing whatever and somebody needs your help, you have to abandon that and attend to their needs. So, there's this fear here of being the center of attention. The fifth house is Leo, and Leo wants to claim the spotlight. Leo wants to genuinely be, the center of attention. That's what it wants to be. Is standing out. Leo wants to stand out. And it's about standing out uniquely. Being the center of attention, standing out in a very, very unique way. But the thing about fifth house North Node is it's not about ego and it's not about the audience. It's not about needing validation from the audience. It's about doing what you creatively want to do from your heart. That's South Node in the fifth house. That's South Node in Leo. Like, no, you're not meant to go that extreme, and I don't think that you will. Because, if you're an Aquarius South Node, Leo, North Node, then you won't go to the North Node extreme because you're already so familiar with the other extreme that it's like so foreign that extreme of the other side. Well, you just can't. Like, I couldn't imagine being, stubborn and, material and, all of that, because that's not my soul makeup. I mean, I don't know if I can embody the shadows of Taurus in that way. So, standing out uniquely. The fear of standing out. Where one of the tendencies to leave behind for the Aquarius South and Leo North Node is feeling like you do not have enough information to act. Like, at some point, something has to give and you're going to have to act. Where, we're just not going to have enough information and facts and details that validate, what you want to do creatively. And it is about being willing to just take action and do your creative thing. And, falling back, this falling back to peers, community, others in your life as an escape for you being your creative self and individuality and stepping in the spotlight of your own life and doing what brings your heart joy. Don't you want joy if you're a fifth house North Node? Why don't you want to live and enjoy joy? Like, does that, I hope that doesn't turn you off. And if it does, then that's okay, and I fully understand that, because that 11th house South Node can be really, really, pulling you back down to that. It can be very, very familiar. But this life is about embracing that fifth house, making the most of it. So, it's this tendency to go back to what is just intellectually right. What intellectually makes sense, what's intellectually rational. Getting out of your true feelings. Because Leo is the heart. Leo is what you truly feel on a heart and soul level with this person or with this creative project or with this, whatever. And it hinders you from interacting with those that you truly care about. It hinders, hindering those interactions with, romantic partner for us. So I'm going to talk about romance because that's also the fifth house. Not really focusing too much on that, but including it a little bit as I go through nooks and crannies here. So, it's about making sense of your feelings. The South Node tendency is to always want to make sense of all your feelings from your heart via logic. And being overly involved in other people's business. Like, oh my gosh, my South Node and Scorpio is like wanting to be so involved with what everybody thinks, others' values, what everybody wants to do, everybody else's drama, everybody else's issue. And I'm like, no, I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to fall into the negative tendency of over-concern with everybody's business. Like, if I had to go through Jen Spiller's tendencies to lie behind it, check, I don't want to do this anymore. So, over-concern with other people's business is what I want to say here. So, if you fall into that tendency, be aware of when you fall back into that. And, be like, okay, there I go again. Where it keeps you, where your mental energy, where your mind, energy is so consumed with others' business that you're just not present, not in your heart, not doing what truly gives you joy, and not focusing on your own life and your own goals and your own, heart's desire. What brings you a sense of prosperity in your own life. So I would say just stop getting overly involved in other people's issues, okay? Because they are not you. They do not live your life. They do not live in your skin. That's their stuff. Focus on what you want to do creatively. So there's this need for validation from the group. Instead of putting in your creative vision, instead of initiating your creative vision for that group, like how you want to, make the creative vision. And, really, if you were to combine these two together, it would be, thinking of the group and putting, your own creative vision and being in, creative groups as opposed to groups for social causes or whatever, and adding your own contribution with expressing your creative self, contributing naturally without even having to try to contribute. It naturally just contributes to that group. Like, we before me, think of others before yourself. I think that comes as a byproduct and as a result of you being your authentic self. Then you serve others, then you are, contribute and all that. So just when I hear things like that, I'm like, oh, no, I don't know about that. I just no. If I had the North Node in Libra in the third, it would be very, very different. But so anyway, self-confidence. Like one of the things with the Leo North Node is building self-confidence, like knowing that you can do it, you can take action on it in your life. And also nurturing your creative expression. Nurturing that creative expression, putting that out there, and then through this you'll overcome fears of feeling inadequate. I think that's something that I read, but anyway, fears of not being good enough. Basically, it's about feeling worthy within yourself that you can express your creative gifts, you can express your heart's desire, and you can live that out. And so, when it comes to romance, is going back to romance. Not as, you kind of have the tendency to look at romance not as what it is, because romance is intimate and personal. Not, and instead it clashes with your group, it clashes with your circle of friends. It clashes with what they want, their values, their, thing, not what you want, not the kind of people that you want to interact with, not the kind of deep, meaningful relationships that you want to form. Truly. So it's about bringing your partner. The tendency is to always bring your romantic partner into your group of friends, where the relationship is based on shared causes and values, and thinking of their goals, thinking of what they want to contribute to the world, as opposed to the real, heartfelt, joyful, playful, loving connection of that relationship. There's this need to care more about being seen by others and how others are going to see you, how others are going to look at you, with the person, as opposed to, the pure joy of being with that person. It's like, how this relationship is going to be seen by others, how others are going to see this relationship, instead of just the joy of being with this person because you love him or her, because you appreciate, you have a neat, deep connection with them. So there's this tendency to become so ingrained into, becoming so ingrained into the belief that play is just a trivial thing, a selfish thing, that it should be questioned, that should be investigated, and, with absolute scrutiny, and that is just a waste of time, a waste of energy. That pleasure should be questioned. What gives you personal pleasure and joy should be questioned. Well, you probably grew up in really a strict household, or most about serving the hungry or homeless, or some social cause, where your personal play and what gives you heartfelt joy was like a father who just destroys a girl's guitar because, oh, you're not going to make money, or that's not for the good of all, that's not an important real job, quote unquote. But that's her dream, to becoming a singer, become a music artist, and that's what she wants to do from her heart and soul. So let her do it, nurture her, and raise her in a way where she is following her own creative gifts, and we have to honor our individual creative gifts and not control others in that way. So that is part of authenticity, is not controlling others and what they want to do. So the pleasure to be questioned. Pleasure was to be questioned, and the group causes basically took up way more of your, took up way more of your time and energy than what gives you personal joy and satisfaction in your life. Like the group work, that was, the group work is at the higher level of the pecking order. It was more of a top priority. The creative project was more of a side priority, not really too important. Well, you're here to maybe make a career out of your creative, passion. Prioritize what brings you heart joy, what brings your heart creative passion. Like that is the path of the North Node and the Fifth. So, what this can also be is expressing yourself as an individual, who you uniquely are as an individual, not necessarily what the group wants you to express. And the self-understanding needs patience and compassion. Self-understanding, understanding your motives, your emotions, whatever, and how they impact yourself and others, not having to have it a mental thing or whatever. Self-understanding needs patience and compassion. That's where, it can be, where self-understanding, with having that, I'm getting stuck on this, I want to move on. Your personal creative voice is very, very valuable. It's incredibly valuable. Even if the group doesn't approve of it, even if the group doesn't like it, guess what? I'm going to tell you right now, anyone that does not support what you do from your heart and your soul, that is your creative self-expression, they are not your people. Finding, North Node and Leo, or the fifth house, is about putting yourself out there on YouTube or social media, whatever, to find, to form a tribe that others will like what you're doing, support what you're doing, to find the people who truly get you, that are truly right for you, that are truly, in the niche and supportive of your creative self-expression, all that. So, your personal creative voice is valuable, even if, the group just doesn't like it or approve of it. Even if it is considered selfish, quote unquote. It's about moving away from groups and from the people that just don't support what you're doing, and just disapprove of what you do, if it means doing something that feeds your soul and feeds your heart and soul. So it's about being with a partner that sees you for who you are. Sees you for who you uniquely are. The beautiful, creative, talented, bright, playful, amazing, incredible person that you are. So what you want to do in this lifetime is discover and do what you genuinely enjoy and go after it. And what do you genuinely enjoy? What brings you genuine soul satisfaction and joy? Even if it is selfish or hedonistic. Even if it is selfish or hedonistic. That's really what I want to say. And doing the creative project you've been holding off for years is also really, really important. What is that creative project that you've been putting on the back burner? this book that I want to write, this song that I want to sing, this this album that I want to create. I want to be this person. I want to be that creative person. I want to start a YouTube channel. I want to start a blog. I want to build something, or build a table, or cook this certain dish or whatever. This creative project, and you're really getting the tools in order to do that. You've been holding off doing for years, doing for a long time, knowing that if you do it, it's better. Like, you know this on a soul level. Like, if you were to pursue this creative project, you know that it's way better than not doing it at all. Like, it's way better than not actually taking the risk at all. Like, it's so much better just to do it and take care of it. And, well, not take care of it, but to do what brings your heart joy, because you took the risk. Like, if you want to live a soul-fulfilling life with the North Node, you need to get out of that stuck comfort zone that keeps you small, that keeps you, hold yourself back from your soul's growth and expansion in this life. And so, personally doing this video, personally me, I want you to really step into what feels right for you. Whatever feels right to you. If it feels right to go after a creative vision and, go after a creative project or whatever, then by all means, do that. Do that. So it's better than not doing it at all. Like, it's better to try and fail than to not try at all. It's better to take the risk. There's this feel of like, oh, I'm going to fail. This is not going to work out. I'm not going to get money doing this, or my life is going to become, ruined, because if I stay in the comfort zone of the group cause and what the group wants and then I will be safe and secure. And the South Node wants to keep you safe and secure, but it wants to keep you small. And the North Node is like, expand, grow, get out of your comfort zone, be big, take risks, and live a bold and big, fulfilling life. So, it's about letting yourself fall in love in relationships, in romance. Without certainty, it'll work. Because we really don't know. That's the beauty of life, is not knowing what's going to happen in the future, not having a certain, idea of what's going to happen. It is having the uncertainty. It's like, I wonder about this. And through the uncertainty, you build curiosity. Through this, you build, the curiosity, like, I wonder what's going to happen. I'm open to what the universe has to give me. I'm going to try this because I'm curious. Like, if you can have a mindset of open-mindedness with this, and that can really, really go far. And doing it without needing certainty, knowing that it will work. Going back to that point that I made earlier about needing enough information for you to act on the thing, So it's about not being able, it's like we don't know the future. We cannot predict what will come in the future because nobody knows. We don't know our life in the future. But we can actively, in the present, create a better tomorrow that can pave the way for our future. So not being able to predict the outcome. And, without needing the group's permission or approval. Without needing this, group's, permission, or approval, in your life. I can really, really, do a lot of that, very, very, very strongly. Where you don't need the group to validate what you're doing. When it comes to raising children, because the fifth house is also children, remember that. So it's about raising children to be individuals, to be their individual self, to become who they uniquely want to be, their creative self, celebrating their talents and their creative gifts, as opposed to, well, how are they going to benefit the community? How are they just going to go along with all the society standards and rules? And how are they going to benefit society? And how are they going to... No. We want to, nurture their own talents and creative gifts that make them uniquely them, where they can then contribute to society through that, where they can make the contribution to society through them expressing their creative self. Like, that's what contributing to the group society by North Node of the 5th house, being a creative self, creative self-expression, doing what makes you feel creatively fulfilled. That's what it's about. It's not about, neglecting either end of the axis, really. So, it's just about releasing the shadows of the South Node and, healing it by moving to the North Node, and then, really combining the best of both worlds. So, don't worry, I'm not telling you to go back to what you may be, wanting to move away from. I want to be compassionate and, kind to you in this video if you have this placement. Or if you're interested in astrology and you're interested to hear just my take on it. So, so raising individuals to become, who they uniquely are, embracing what they have to give and offer to the world, in terms of their gifts, their talents, and the creative endeavors might be becoming, for example, a performer, an artist, a creative director, a painter, a music artist, whatever. Those are just some examples. It's about teaching children to honor their creative self-expression, what makes you uniquely them, their own, creative heartfelt desire, in a creative field where personal vision truly matters. We're not the group vision, not for the good of the group, but for what you want, what feels right to you in your heart and soul. That's what it's really all about. And the South Node, probably gave you, very, very important tools to work with. Like the South Node isn't all bad, okay? It does have some good qualities to it. Like, for example, we want to keep certain things. We don't want to discard certain things. We want to keep, what is good, what is actually a good quality of the South Node, because there is nuance to the South Node. So, such as the ability to collaborate with others, the ability to understand, what the collective needs, what would benefit the group, what could benefit the larger society, and and transcending what you egoically want, what you want on an ego level, with wanting to be better than others and all of that, which is basically not, which is more what you want spiritually and on a soulful level, for something greater than yourself. You surrendered your own personal desires for something greater than yourself, like way before me, going back to that point that I made earlier. You want to be with groups, whatever people you surround yourself with in your life, be with people that support you. Find a tribe of people that support you being your creative, authentic self, support your individual growth, versus groups that just hold you back from that, and, groups that, demand that you just fit in, that you just go along with what they want. Be with if you're going to be with a group this life, and, I would encourage you to find people in your life that support what you do, and to really form that connection with them, with people that are supportive to you, because we all are social creatures. We all need people to, support us and have our backs, and, we don't want to be just on our own doing our own thing alone. As humans, we need other people. So, and we need other supportive, encouraging people to motivate us and do whatever. So be with those groups that support you in that way to grow individually. So, like, what is the creative, your own creative vision, that you want to contribute to society by doing your own creative thing, for the group as opposed to social causes, but not for the group, but for yourself, because I don't want to contradict myself and I don't want to confuse you, with this. So if you are in a group, then be with groups that have, creative pursuits which are personal to you, where you can be your creative self and contribute something in that group, and not just social causes. So it's about being fully present to your partner in romance. Being present to that partner in a sort of understanding of, romance, when it comes to romantic endeavors. Being present, really, really loving him or her for who he is, for who he or she is. Being loving, really, really making the most of that connection. Basking in the deliciousness and the richness of that. And you're not, defining shared values. Anyway, with the partner not defining that and validating that. It's about teaching children the values of both individual expression and how their individual expression can contribute to the group, can contribute to society, how they can be their own creative, authentic self, and contribute to the community, contribute to society through that. Okay, so yeah, I want to just express that out to you. It's an individual expression. And through doing what makes you genuinely happy, you treat people differently. You treat people differently. You treat them, you're more kind, you're more loving, you're more positive, you're more friendly, you're more easy to be around, you're more fun to be around. You're more present with people and not so much in your head, not so much in the gloom and doom of feeling like your life is not good. And then when you're not doing what you want to do, resentment builds up, towards others, because you think that they're going to judge you and hold you back from your creative, self. And you feel like, there's this resentment and this rejection and there's this real disdain and distaste for them, others. And then, and then if you want to think about being a better person for others, then do what makes you feel good about yourself. If you want to benefit others, and if you want to benefit the community and the group, do what makes you feel good about yourself. Do what you genuinely enjoy. And if you're really, really passionate about benefiting the group and community, I'm telling you, the way that you're doing it, do it differently. Do it, your creative self-expression. That all the fifth house things, which I keep repeating over and over and over, because there's always so many things to say about this. So, you're more, because you're no longer trying to get validation from the group. You're no longer say like, do you mind if it's okay if I do this? God forbid I should do my creative passion and whatever. Do something that has your own creative stamp on it, because it's truly, uniquely who you are. Do what you feel and think about something, about a certain art project or whatever. Like if you're singing, don't do the type of music, and don't do it in the way that others would expect and approve, but do it how you want to do it, your own style of music, your own way of singing that has your own unique stamp on it, rather than what others would like and approve of. So, it is about being loved for who you are uniquely. Being loved for who you are as an individual, not based on supporting the other's goals. And being loved for who you are, being in that mutually loving and, tender, authentic relationship is going to be very, very healing and fulfilling to you. It's really going to move your soul. It's about doing what makes you genuinely happy. What gives you genuine joy, genuine happiness, in your life. Which greatly contributes to the world more than any collective work could ever do, like as I said before. So when you do what makes you feel happy, you add your own contribution to the world by doing your own thing. Like, isn't that what YouTube is? Isn't that social media? Like, we're all doing our own thing and we're contributing to the world by adding to the collective, thing by our own unique contributions to it. Like, that's what social media is. And if you want to follow your North Node in the 5th house, then I would say get on social media and, start TikTok or YouTube or, something, where you're, expressing your creative self, and people will come to your, house, for come to your place, come to your, hub, and, support you in that way. And then you'll build a community, Aquarius, community, 11th house, with people that support what you're doing creatively. That's the beauty of like YouTube and TikTok and all those kind of things like that. So the South Node has taught you that safety comes from belonging to the group. That safety really comes from belonging to everyone else. And it's a risk to express yourself individually. Also, expressing yourself in that kind of way. And what brings, and this is kind of what you were taught, with the South Node, that it's not safe to be your true self. Like, safety comes from the group, and it's a risk to be your individual self. And, what brings you true joy in your life, true soul satisfaction, is selfish. And that is so not true. It is both and not either or, okay? You're prioritizing your creative work and individual self-expression in a way where you are showing up to your community in that way. You're showing up to the group, you're showing up to the community by being in your authentic self-expression, by being your creative self. So it's about, simply enjoying things. Simply, making the most out of life and, enjoying things in your life. Enjoying these things, and just doing something for just the pure enjoyment of it, not for any big purpose or whatever. Turning your creative work into labor is the tendency to leave behind, into, well, that's what I read, into having to work so hard for it, into just that, rather than just doing it because it gives you, like, what is most important to you in this life is that you do what brings joy to your heart, what brings meaning to you on a heart level, doing what, brings you joy in that level, in that respect. And then, creative work, being your creative self, and the creative work that you do put out comes from who you are authentically, rather than censoring yourself with your creative vision and catering yourself towards the group. And the final point that I want to end on is when you've expressed yourself creatively after you have experienced genuine joy in your life, doing the work with your own individual vision, with your own creative vision, you're giving the world what it truly needs. You're giving back to community because you decided that you would be your creative self, your authentic self, and you would live from your heart and express what makes you feel joyful, happy, and fulfilled. Well, that is all that I have to say on the South Node in the 11th house and the North Node in the 5th house. I hope that you enjoyed this hour-long video of this placement, and I will see you back tomorrow. I want to talk tomorrow about a synastry aspect that I've been kind of meaning to talk about, a little bit of a while from now, which is Mercury conjunct the other person's Saturn, and what that means, because I actually have that synastry aspect with someone close to, and how grounding communication can be very, very important, but how you can feel restricted and limited when it comes to your own communication. I want to discuss that in depth on tomorrow's episode of the Cosmic Sky Podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Please join my community if you like my own creative self-expression, then I encourage you to support me and what I do and my work on this channel. I really feel like I am blossoming this year with my creative, self-expression. I'm really, in it, and I'm not intending to stop anytime soon. I'm very passionate to do, to do these videos, for you, and I really put my heart and my all into it, and this is what gives me joy. And I think that you can tell that I'm very passionate from listening to these videos. But I'm not overly, whenever I perceive myself being very overly excited about something, you'll hear how grounded and how down to earth I am with my communication. Mercury and Taurus. So, anyway, tune in for tomorrow's episode of the Cosmic Sky Podcast. Until then, take care of all of who you are, the creative and beautiful version of who you are. And so will I. Until next time, this is me saying, be well and live out what the cosmos and the cosmic sky is encouraging you with your natal chart, with what makes you truly are, what makes you who you truly are. Bye for now.